constellations bow to me!
Okay, it is officially 1 day away from the patch from hitting. In fact, you're probably going to be seeing this on patch day, probably. And I have a few ideas that I did make. I think about 9 ideas. Which is, like, I did want to make a 10th one, but I think 9 is fine for now. Starting with the basics, let's look at this. This is just mono Shurima. The reason that I think that this is actually better is because, well, because of Soothsayer, basically. Also Clockhand. Like, these two cards actually make this deck a lot better. The fact that you can drop a 2, like, you can drop Sundisk turn 1 and Soothsayer turn 2 if you're that worried about just landmarks, if you don't have other plays or anything, you can just do that, and Sundisk is just safe, right? I think some changes that I can do to this deck will be possibly running Dace. I don't know, maybe, because, like, Azir won't level as easy here. Like, you have Doomkeeper, I guess. You also have Azir himself, which will summon you Sand Soldiers, right? But yeah, Merciless Hunter is great, Soothsayer is great, Clockhand is great. The idea with Clockhand is simple. It's because usually you had to play Sunday's Rise to level both Azir and Renekton, like, just on the, like, had to level them so that you can develop Sundisk and then they would be level 3. But now you can just develop Azir, really, and that's the most important bit. Like, Renekton leveled is insane, sure, and you will go for its level, sure. You have, yeah, you have Exhaust, you have Merciless Hunter, you still run, like, Vulnerable Givers, right? But the main thing is that you want to develop Azir, and by turn 8 you're gonna have enough mana so that Clockhand will just put you in Sundisk immediately. Which is nice, which is very nice. Now, do I think that this is gonna be, like, the best thing ever? Not really. Like, you do have a lot of good tools, like Shapestone is always enabled with Sundisk. Scrying Sands is nice. Like, as I said, Soothsayer, Merciless, like, they're strong cards. You also have Preservarium. Like, this deck does run a few good cards, but I don't think it's just necessarily going to be better, because I'm going to discuss other decks that are just going to be better, honestly. But yeah, that's for mono. There's not much to discuss here. By the way, all the codes will be in the description of this video if you do want to just save the code for the launch, if you do. Next, I'm going to just discuss something that I've played a ton. I've played this deck a lot the last set I did. Well, I don't want to say peaked in Diamond 2. Maybe I'm going to do, like, some final push. I don't think I will do, though. Like, I just had a really bad run and decided to just call it quits. I do think that if I started pushing earlier, rather than the last week only, I would have done much better. But yeah. The reason this deck is much better is because of Blue Sentinel. This card is actually really underrated in my opinion. Like, the fact that, well, this runs Wings in the Wave and Blighted Caretaker, as well as Glimpse, as well as things that can kill it, right? Makes it much better, honestly. Like, it's more consistent at when you want the effect. Like, you can play Blue Sentinel turn 3, Wings on the Wave on top of it, and get a turn 4 Thresh, for an example. That's a simple combo. Or you could just drop turn 2, drop Caretaker turn 3 for some aggressive turn, and then you drop turn 4 Thresh. You can also just do that. This has a ton of, like, pinging, right? Like, you have Vile Feast, you have Whale, you also have Black Spear, you also have Caretaker, which is actually better due to the reason that I'm about to say, which is this should have a good matchup versus Irelia. For a few reasons. Fangs is good lifesteal, Sketcher can get you Challengers to kill Aurelia, can get you Challengers to kill Greenglade, can give you Equinoxes for Marshall, for Greenglade. Hushes are good there too. Now, well, you're gonna have to, like, match up the whiteboards too. And this can do that because this gives you a card. This is 2 units possibly, this is 3 units. Like, you have ways to spread out yourself using cheap units, which can deal well with Aurelia. And if you do draw the Thresh early, you're golden versus the blades because you want to see them die. You want them to keep ramming into you. And usually the combo is by turn 5 or 6. Maybe if they're luckier, they're going to get it 4. But you can get lucky too and get your Thresh on 4 using either Moonsilver from Spacey Sketcher or through Blue Sentinel. So this can meet the timing of Irelia. And then you're going to be summoning a 10-10, and that might be too much for the Irelia deck to handle. So I do think that this deck is actually really good. Also, by the way, another thing, people will be playing aggro to counter Irelia. Well, I'll also show an Irelia deck right now, but like Burn and aggro can get right under the Irelia combo, like it used to do with the Azir Irelia. So this is good into that too, right? So yeah, this is something that I used to play that I'm going to continue refining, and I think it's actually going to be good in the next meta. And yeah, okay, so elites. Okay, we're gonna now just go like by the arrangement so that I don't miss anything. I do think elites can be good. This is a more synergistic build, like it's running a lot of elites. There's Garen, there's Cytherea, there's Jarvan, there's For the Fallen. So like this is an attempt at an actual just elites deck, right? Like you can just take Bannerman out, possibly. You can run good stuff in this deck. Like you can try running Rune Runner. This is running a really good unit. That's splash of choice, Merciless Hunter and Exhaust. The reasons I'm splashing those is that you can play Honored Lord without Penitent Banner, without Penitent Squire that gives you Banner. And you can play Merciless Hunter the turn after, and you have a 3-2 Barrier Challenger with a 4-3 Fearsome. So like it has a decent curve. You also have Bannerman on 4, which is great. Like it's a Bannerman. Like Bannerman is Bannerman, right? Like there's nothing too special about it. It's just buffing the entire board. Garen is great with Challenger or with Exhaust or with Merciless itself. Ardent Tracker. So also another point of synergy that I wanted to do here is that this is when you summon an elite, reduce my cost by 1. Like if you're gonna make this just a Bannerman deck, not an elites deck, I would take this out. I would take possibly some of the elites, maybe Honored Lord, maybe Cytherea, maybe Penitent itself, or maybe make it at 2, or just not care. Like I would try it, right, and see how well it does. I would also take For the Fallen out, and I would just make it a Bannerman deck. But this is trying to be a synergistic deck, right? Like you have good points in For the Fallen and Ardent Tracker, and you're not running bad units either, right? Like Cytherea's Cloud, 1 mana 2/2, decent. Penitent Squire makes a unit a challenger, great. Honored Lord is nice. Merciless Hunter is fantastic. This is the value unit out of those, like the biggest value unit. Redeemer is also nice because you can play it after you open attack or something and you're just drawing. Bannerman is also nice, and like you're not playing bad cards per se, right? So I do think that this deck has potential. I'm gonna play it as well and test it and see how it pans out, and yeah. Okay, so other cards. I don't know about this. I think this can be built differently. I'm pretty sure Swim is probably gonna have a variant of this, like he was streaming the entire thing of just trying to make Chirean work. But this is another take. I'm trying to have a Chirean engine in there that like Teemo. So here's the thing. Teemo with Puffcap Peddler, I can't see him. Yeah, Puffcap Peddler, right? Puffcap Peddler benefits from the iterative engine. Now, does it benefit from Stalking Shadows? No, right? That's the question mark here. Like, you're gonna have Doom Beast, which is nice to get it from Stalking. Investigator, which is nice to get from Stalking, especially if you do have a Peddler on board. You have Onlooker, which is nice to get from Stalking. Chirean Sunperker, which is insane to get from Stalking. But yeah, Ballistic Bot and Peddler specifically aren't that great into it. So that's the biggest question mark, I would say. Also, the fact that this is only 21 units makes Stalking a bit meh. So I think I literally just put I don't know on this deck. Like, it's a big question mark. I'm gonna have to like play it and refine it and see how Chirean feels. So like if I'm gonna I would recommend trying Chirean. I think Chirean will actually be very, very good. Like it's gonna be strong. But maybe this variant does need some tweaking. Like, so I would recommend this for someone who definitely knows their way around deck building, that would refine a better idea of this. right? But yeah, I just literally put this out there because I know that stocking shadows with Chirean is strong, so I wanted to point that out. But yeah. Now, okay, so we did all these four as Heimer Adaptatron. Okay, so here's the thing. Adaptatron feels to me that it can actually be really good. Like, it can be a good card. It's a 1/3 for 1 mana, which is, okay, it's not aggressive itself, but it's statted well for a 1-drop. You have Heimer, which has been forgotten for so long. He gives you 3/1 fearsomes. Who cares about those, right? But the idea here is that you have this one combo that can work really well with Heimer. Like, he's giving you value anyways, right? But you have this one combo with Adaptatron, where you can give it some perks map, which is great. And then, like, your entire board, you drop the 2/1 tough on top of that, and your entire board is tough, fearsome, elusives. That's pretty strong. If you manage to hit Thermo on 6 anyways, like, you don't even need some perks map. If you add the 6 cost here, what's a good 6 cost? I didn't look into that because I didn't really think it was the greatest thing. Okay, it doesn't work like the app, but yeah, let's look at the 6 costs in here that you can run. I mean, you're not gonna run Transmogulator, Ricochet. No, because you have no reputation proccers, so this is just deal 1. Like, it's not great. I guess you can run Unlicensed Innovation. I wouldn't, though. I genuinely wouldn't. And yeah, I don't see it, is what I'm gonna say. The Spiritfire would also give you the barrier one, which is cute. It is cute, but it's a barrier for 1 turn, right? Like, it's not amazing. So yeah, I just do really like the idea of Ezreal, Flash of Brilliance. Merciless Hunter is a great 3-drop as well, right? Some Dredger is nice. Quicksand is great. You have ways to make use of Rummage using a Ballistic Bot and maybe a Mystic Shot that you don't have the mana for, or like, say your board is full or you have a crappy bot that you don't want to play, you can always Rummage that or some Dredge it. Merciless Hunter and some Dredger and Ezreal and Quicksand are all really good, as alongside, of course, Flash of Brilliance and Get Excited, are all really good Improbulator proccers, which you would be playing in this deck and you would be making good use of. Not to mention that Improb himself gives you Overwhelm. So Overwhelm drones, I mean. So Overwhelm drones will work really good with the fearsome Overwhelm like kind of package that would be nice with Adaptatron. So yeah, I do think that this deck has potential. Maybe there are other ways to build it, but I feel like Adaptatron is very it's like a dark horse. Okay, so what next? There we go. Now we got to Azir Irelia. Let's discuss what this deck does. It's a simple high, like, if you know what Azir Illusion does, this is very similar. If you've seen the streams, everybody's been playing this. This craps out units like there is no tomorrow. Like, this summons units that are attacking constantly. Emperor's Die with any Blade Dance is insane. Green Glade Duo with all of this is insane. Inspiring Marshal giving everything +2 attack is nuts. Field Musicians is, like, all of a sudden a really good refill unit. They draw you a lot, right? So you have Lead and Follow, which will work nicely with Dancing Droplet or with Ribbon Dancer or with Blossom Blade. You also have Retreat Recall, which also would. So here's the combo. Here's a combo, my bad. So a combo here that can be good versus something that you know that doesn't run heavy removal would be Dancing Droplet on 1, giving you 1 spell mana. Turn 2, you're attacking. Say this is on your attack token, turn 2. You can retreat the Dancing Droplet, drawing you effectively a card while you still have 1 spell mana. Or actually, no, it's not 1 spell mana. It's 1 unit mana. And you play Dancing Droplet, giving you another 1 spell mana. And you return Aurelia. But then that would leave you, the problem with that combo specifically is that it would leave you without a 1 mana to use Aurelia's effect. But it's really high in tempo. You can also just do it with Azir, which is nuts, I would say. Like, dropping Azir on turn 2 in burst and then attacking with it, and the 1/1, like, it's a good combo because that's what 1, 2, 3, 4 summons by turn 2. And you drew a card. So yeah, I do think that it's actually very nice as a combo. Like also lead and follow is like the card. It's the entire package itself is actually very potentially strong. Like it can dish out. It's very explosive. Yeah, that's the term I'm looking for. It's very explosive. It can dish out damage really quickly. But yeah, you can just, if you do have the removal or like the Equinox for Sparring Student or Green Glade, you can shut it down, which is why I think you can shut this entire deck down with a lot of removal. That's why I was thinking of Thresh Aurelion-Sol, and that's why I mentioned it earlier. There will be a 10th deck that I didn't get to looking at yet because nobody figured out the entire ratios, but I think everybody's going to see it on the ladder once more streamers play tomorrow, which is Zilean Go Hard. Zilean Go Hard is actually very strong versus this because Go Hard is 1 mana. You can force a Syncopation out and then use Vala Feast for an example. Like, yeah, it just does really well into this sort of archetype, and I do think that this the deck itself is strong anyways, so yeah, we'll be seeing a ton of it on the ladder. And I'm not going to review today. I did mention it as of what I'm speaking because I do think that if I try to make something like this, it might pan out very differently from what the final result will be. Contrary to Chirean, which I do think that like the concept is simple. That's why I just showed it. Now, Shurima Overwhelm. What even changed in Shurima Overwhelm? This changed. This makes it much stronger. The reason I'm even sharing this is because of Merciless Hunter, literally. Like, you can play this and play Renekton, and it's the same deck. That's it. Like, the idea is that you're playing Merciless Hunter, giving Renekton a vulnerable on curve. You also have Rock Hopper. You also have Exhaust. Like, it's it's the same old deck, right? But you have a powerful 3-drop alongside Trapper in it now. So, yeah. There's not much to talk about here. This is a known deck. Like, for the people that don't know it, this is just get a fat unit with Overwhelm on Battle Fury, hopefully Ruin Runner because it has Spell Shield, so that it can get hushed easily or anything, and yeah, just win is what I'm gonna say about that. Yeah. What else? Oh yeah, Swain Zilean. So this is okay. Every time I talk to someone about this deck, they're like, I don't think it's gonna be that great. And I ask why, and they're like, bombs take too long to go off. And yeah, I'm not making this for bombs. So here's what I'm gonna I'm gonna just preload the entire deck with this. A control deck is really good when you're drawing exactly what you need at the exactly right time. That's what makes a control deck good, right? So the idea with this is that you are in a ton of predicts, right? Like you're in Scrying Sands, Chronomancer, Ancient Preparations, with some draw, Preservarium, and you're just drawing what you want. You're predicting what you want. And you have a ton of removal. You have Death Lotus for aggro, you have Ravenous Flock for fat units, which by the way works with Time Bond, but it's not the thing that I'm running it for. You have Scorched Earth for some landmarks. I'm worried of Rahurak mainly, which is why I added Scorched Earth instead of Guillotine. We'll see though. You have stuns, you have Cooling Strike, you have Death. You have a ton of tools to deal with literally everything. Not to mention that predicts will make you like draw Leviathan more consistently, because sometimes you just have these games with Swain where you're like, okay, I'm not drawing my Leviathan, I guess I lose. Predicting makes that easier. Like if say you're already in a like removal heavy hand, you just predict for the Leviathan along the way, and you have your hand set, right? Like that's the best thing about predicting, is that it makes your draws better. So why would you play this? Well, mainly because you can just draw whatever you want versus whatever you want. So yeah, I do think this is highly, like, it's potentially really good. We'll see though, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna be giving it a very fair shot. Yeah, I wanted to review this. Like, okay, here's the thing. Maybe because I played it before the patch, it's gonna feel any different after the patch. But the idea here is simple. Like, it's another way to give Renekton vulnerable, right? Like, it's a region that has ways to either like enable GP and at the same time give vulnerable to units that want to use it. Like Gangplank is also decent with Vulnerables tag. Like Merciless Hunter will feel good into Renekton and also will feel good into Gangplank, will also feel good into Rune Runner. And Dreadway here specifically is really, really good because it functions as a more wide, more disruptible, yeah, but a more effective Battle Fury in the sense that it makes Rune Runner a 12-4, makes Gangplank a 10-5, Renekton an 8-4. It makes monkeys a 4 attackers. By the way, monkeys are really good with with vulnerable givers as well, because you're just challenging with those monkeys, giving them value, so you can kill like a 2 health unit with a monkey, which is nice. Like I don't see anything bad about that at all. And you also have like Sirius Courier, which is, so here's the thing that Shurima Overwhelm struggled from. Rune Runner is great, right? It's a 6-4 Overwhelm spell shield. That's amazing. But the problem is, you swing with it once, and yes, maybe it tanks the first swing, and it's a 6-1 now. So it's only going to survive another swing. It's not going to be able to block efficiently. Citrus Courier can be like, okay, I'm only putting it at 1 because it's still a 6 mana 4-5. Everybody did this. It didn't feel great already. But it's very potentially strong here because with Rune Runner it heals it. With Renekton it heals it. Not only it heals it, it also emphasizes the stat buff that Renekton already got. And if you have another way to give him challenge, if you have another way to challenge with him, or if he's already leveled, if he's like an 8-4 that just got 4 damage, he's now an 8-7 that's going to grow into 11-10. Like Citrus Courier can be really potentially strong. And another thing is Monster Harpoon. So when you think about Monster Harpoon, it's a 6 mana deal 5. If you do have a consistent way to enable Plunder, it's a 3 mana deal 5. Okay, well, what's a region that would love to run a 3 mana deal 5? I don't know what's it's showing here. I guess it's just bugged out. But yeah, it's a 3 mana deal 5. What's a great thing for that? It's the fact that you're in a tempo driven deck and you're very like running a cheap, strong removal card. It has a ton of reach. It can, I don't know why okay, Mobilytics is bugging out. I guess we're almost done anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, you have a ton of reach. You're just, it's cheap, so you're not losing out on tempo. And it's really, really good. It's really, really good. It doesn't hit face, obviously. And enabling Plunder is not that hard here because of Warning Shot, because of... And by the way, Doomkeeper is also a great unit. Like, if you're attacking on 1, he's getting there, right? It's a decent Plunder enabler as well. Like, yeah, I do think that this deck, like, it's potentially good. It can have a brittle, like, I think this loses the Shurima Overwhelm Mirror. That's a problem. It does lose that, probably, because I did run into, maybe before the, but I mean, they got the same buffs, right? Like, I guess I didn't have Harpoon for their Yetis or anything. But yeah, I do think that this is potentially really, really strong. I don't know how it's going to deal versus aggro, though. Maybe you run more parlays. Maybe run like monkey blockers. I guess you have Doomkeeper, right, to stop the spread. Like it's very, maybe there is a way to rebuild it or something, but it is like, I do really believe in this bit. Like starting from Merciless to downwards is actually, I do like it. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, these are the ones that I did for now. I'm gonna also possibly review Zilean Go Hard tomorrow. If not, then I'm gonna just post gameplay of Thresh Aurelion-Sol once the patch is out, obviously. If not, then I'm gonna just do, like, if I'm gonna start working earlier on Zilean Go Hard, I'm gonna review it before the set is out, before the entire patch is like through. But yeah, these are the first 9 decks. You're going to find all the codes in the description, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you have another idea that you didn't see or didn't hear of me like talking about, just let me know in the comments. I will make sure to check it out and see what I can do. And yeah, have a great day.